Hi, Braelin. My name's Lars Boggield, and I'm a Canadian Youth Delegate to COP16, and I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia, where I study at Dalhousie University. First of all, let me say, great question. I'm going to break it down into three-part answers. The first part's going to be addressing why governments do stimulate economies and what kind of those stimulation packages are really for. The second part, I'm going to talk about why they issues of climate change and the issues of stimulating the economy aren't actually mutually exclusive ones, how indeed both can be tackled at once. And I guess the third thing I'm going to talk about is how these arguments can be presented to governments and how you can actually make these sort of concepts make a lot of sense to politicians. So the first idea is that governments often spend money in issues of recession to basically not necessarily stimulate just their economy, but really to deal with issues of unemployment. That's really primary to why governments have stimulation packages at all. And what needs to be understood is that within the realm of climate change and what it requires, there's a lot of room for employment, new employment that's very additional and in new fields that didn't necessarily exist before. So to move on to that second idea of how these things aren't really mutually exclusive, we have to understand that a lot of what creates employment are things that are very labor intensive or often very infrastructure intensive. And regarding issues of climate change, there's a lot to be gained through infrastructure change and infrastructure development. So things such as updating the grid, such as installing new technology, such as smart grid, even things such as transitioning our energy sector towards renewable energies are very labor intensive, and moreover will be a huge sector for potential employment. Now, how this can be kind of argued and understood to government, how, in your own words, can we get them to come on board and see this as part of their kind of future budgeting, is that you need to understand that this isn't just about stimulating the economy now, it's also about the long-term potential and long-term competitiveness of a country in the long view of governments. And keep in mind that governments, although they kind of think about things politically, are also concerned with the long view of their nation. So with that in mind, the argument that has to be made is, historically, we look at infrastructure development as something that will help a country now and ongoingly into the future. And what we want to say is that economies of the future are ones that are of a low carbon nature, that are really energy efficient, and that actually employ people in a way that isn't involved in dirty industry. And what that requires is the sort of upfront investment that a recession actually provides within the form of these stimulation packages, within a form where governments are already putting out money, but they can actually put them into the sort of development of infrastructure that'll actually create competitive advantages both now, but also have environmental benefits ongoingly into the future. So I hope that helped to answer your question somewhat, and I'd be happy to answer any follow-up questions that you might post. So thanks for listening.